And welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Atlantic City here from New Jersey. And my name is Marcel Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Nate Price. And we're getting round 4 feature match with Jon Finkel on the right side of your screen versus Andrew Cuneo on the left. This is a control mirror. Both players are extremely comfortable in this environment. John's going to lead off with the Overgrown Tomb into Hinterland Harbor, and Andrew has a Temple card. And a Glacial Fortress, even though they've played 4 different lands.
This matchup here ultimately is going to come down to the Tune of Thalia Drown Yards that are in each of their decks here.
Yeah, that's really the key card. The whole reason that the card is in the deck is for these control mirrors, where basically what happens in these is that the amount of threats that each person can put down are greatly outnumbered by the amount of answers that their opponent will have.
Yeah.
All right, so Finkel has found a Think Twice, a Dissipate, and a Supreme Verdict with his Augur of Bolas, and he's going to take the Think Twice and put it in his hand.
Control 101. Draw cards, make all of your land drops.
Make all of your land drops and draw more cards is a great way to do it. And speaking of drawing cards, Cuneo is going to fire off Think Twice. Finkel's going to attack. Play his 4th land for the turn.
Potentially relevant 1 damage. We'll see how this goes.
So I think Cuneo missed his land drop last turn, which is why he went for the Think Twice main phase. Does that look right to you?
I believe so. I mean, he cast Farseek and it didn't get counterspelled.
Yeah, so they're going to his cleanup step for he's going to discard. He can flashback that Think Twice, but he'd rather not tap out. He has a Dissipate in hand, I think. Although he can actually cast it, so what does he have in his hand that he wants to represent here?
I mean, it's a combination of things. Like, if he sacrifices the Overgrown Tomb, it pulls a land out of his deck, which actually...
What do you mean?
Is that an Overgrown Tomb at the top?
Yeah, it's an Overgrown Tomb.
Oh, I'm sorry. For the action, my mistake.
Yeah. I'm not
stuff.
sure why he just passed the turn back. He's representing a counterspell of some sort, is what I'm thinking. But he can't actually play Dissipate. Looks like Finkel's going to go for main phase Think Twice flashback. He just wants to get it in there. He's not really that afraid of what could happen. And Cuneo does, in fact, flash back. It's Think Twice, so he's drawn 2 cards since the last time we saw. And he's going to play an Augur of Bolas. I think he maybe hasn't drawn a land again.
I agree. I think it's likely he would have played it that last turn.
No. I mean on this turn.
No, I'm sorry. Like, I think he likely would have played his Augur Bolas in the last turn if he did it. So I think that might have been what he actually drew.
Gotcha. All right, speaking of lands, Finkel has a Farseek here that he might use to start getting ahead on land drops, as he's also missed one.
You'll notice that both players are just discarding their Supreme Verdicts, like clearly knowing that this is not their plan to victory.
That's right. All right, so Farseek for Cuneo is going to get him back to only 1 land drop behind Finkel.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's a couple cards that you can kind of race to in this situation. I guess you can certainly attack your opponent to death with Thragtusk. Like, that is a valid solution to this problem.
Absolutely.
But, you do have Jace archetype.
I think they've each got 1 Jace in their deck.
Yeah. And you also they have 1 copy of Jace Memory Adept, or no? Finkel has 1 Jace Memory Adept, but there isn't one in Cuneo's main deck.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a 75 card mirror, it's just almost.
Now, what's the card that's different? I'm curious now. Oh, there he does. Nope, it's hidden. That's what it was. Yeah, it is a 75 card mirror.
Okay. So they each have 1 Jace Memory Adept in the main and 1 Jace Architect.
In fact, Jace Memory Adept hit the table, and looks like Cuneo conceded to that. So,
yeah, they have a really, really tough time beating that. They've each got 2 Detention Spheres. It's one of the only ways that they have to actually deal with a resolved big Jace.
Yeah.
Let's take a look over at Zach versus Harry.
For those of you who were paying attention to our wonderful mic check earlier, you might have learned a little bit about Zach Hillstack. We talked about it too. Zach is on the left-hand side of your screen playing the black-red. It's more of a mid-range version of the black-red deck, not the highly aggressive zombies version that we saw early on in the format, as is evidenced by his Thundermaw Hellkite and his Falconwrath Aristocrat. And Falconwrath Aristocrat plus the
two damage from
Geralf's Messenger.
From Geralf's Messenger. Looks like it was enough to finish off here. We didn't get quite a chance to see what the life totals were there, but obviously Harry was down to near lethal. Also, Harry's name is not spelled correctly.
Yeah. Harry on your right-hand side there, in case you weren't able to catch what he was playing from the limited amount of time his Perimeter Storm play. He's playing the mid-range
Naya mid-range.
Yeah.
I really do feel like that's a deck that we're going to be seeing a lot this weekend, Nate.
I can only imagine, yeah. Like the combination of, like, it's funny to me, like, it's angel tricks is a lot of times what it comes down to. 4 Restoration Angels. The deck is very, very good at stalling games out or turning on a dime and beating people's faces in. And so it's very well positioned in the field right now, especially considering the fact that things are gearing a little bit more towards the aggressive side of the format. So mid-range is perfectly placed for this.
All right. For those of you just tuning in, we just started coverage here from Grand Prix Atlantic City. It's standard. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Nate Price here in the booth, and we have 2 different matches going on in our feature match area. The first one is Andrew Cuneo versus John Finkel. John Finkel's up a game. He would manage to resolve a Jace Memory Adept versus Cuneo, who was missing a bunch of land drops, and Cuneo scooped to that. So they're going to game 2 and currently sideboarding. In our other match, we have Harry Rittenberg versus Zach Hill, and we're getting a look there. And Zach looks like he was able to take the first game with his red-black deck against the Naya mid-range deck.
Taking a look at the sideboards in our Bant Mirror matchup. There are a few cards in these sideboards that are going to become relevant in this match. Each player has a Pithing Needle in their sideboard, which is very good. It's going to be kind of a situational call. What do you want to actually call with it? You can choose to either, I mean, it's currently your only solution to Nephalia Drownyard. So often it's going to be that. You're also going to be bringing in the second copy of Jace Memory Adept. A lot of times these Jaces, while they are definitely a path to victory, a lot of times they are just simply methods of killing a Jace.
Okay.
Simple as that as well.
I see there's 2 negate in the sideboard as well. I'm assuming those are going to come in.
You can only imagine. I would imagine Dispel makes it in as well. I mean, you do have some dead cards. Like, you don't really care about Supreme Verdict at all.
No.
Like, even if your opponent gets out their, like, creatures, you're going to be able to fight them with your own creatures, and you've got, like, enough time to slow people down with your cards like a Azorius Charm. It's clearly going to be hitting the bin.
Now, one of the things that I don't see in either list here is Elixir of Immortality. Do you see that on any?
No, I haven't seen that either.
Yeah, that's a card that interestingly was in the main deck for this Bant list for a while. I know that the Reed Duke versions were running it for a while. And now it seems like it's gone completely from the list.
The reason that's fallen out of style is because it was originally in as a method of dealing with these long mirror matches where you needed to have that extra cycle through your library in order to survive.
And not get decked, because usually once you start getting the Sphinx's Revelations going.
Yeah, and we saw recently, like in the middle of December, the Bant decks fall significantly out of favor, so it's understandable that those would disappear from the main deck.
Okay, so Andrew Cuneo is going to lead off with the Hinterland Harbor into the all-important Nephalia Drownyard and a Farseek as well. So a really ideal start for Andrew here.
And there we go.
He gets his Overgrown Tomb so that he can eventually activate that Drownyard. Let's see what Finkel fires back with here. His second land, does he have a Farseek as well?
He certainly has a Think Twice in his hand.
See that. He's also got an Augur of Bolas. So he's going to look at the top 3 cards of his library, and he gets to pick one of a sorcery and instant from among them, put it in his hand. The rest are going to go on the bottom. Looks like he's found a Think Twice, a Sphinx's Revelation, and a Thrag Tusk. Not bad.
No, not at all.
Grabs the Sphinx's Revelation. That's not going to be relevant for a while, but certainly is at the moment. And an Augur of Bolas on Andrew Cuneo's side as well, and he finds a Think Twice.
Sphinx's Revelation is one of those interesting cards in this matchup because it helps your opponent's victory condition because you're drawing cards, but at the same time it helps you overcome their victory condition. And it's a difficult one to fight at end of turn with because your opponent is going to be packing cards like Negate and like Dispel. You've got to be very careful about your timing and very careful about how much you cast it for. Life totals fairly irrelevant at this point. No reason not to have your lands come down and play untapped, especially when it allows you to cast Dissipate.
That's right. All right, second Hinterland Harbor for Cuneo, and he just calmly says, your turn. So how soon are we going to see Cuneo start to activate that Drown Yard?
I would imagine end of turn.
Just immediately start hammering away on his library?
Seems likely to me. About the only reason I could think he wouldn't is he doesn't have the mana because he had to dissipate something. But at this point also, I'm not sure what is a dissipatable spell. Like,
I mean, does anything matter at this point?
Jace.
So he just basically needs to pass the turn, not let Finkel land a Jace.
Yeah.
And specifically we're talking about Memory Adept, right? I mean, Architect of Thought can get out of hand because they can get your opponents or your own Memory Adept, right?
Well, except for you don't want to do that, because if you do that, then you kill. Well, I guess you
No,
kill
you
both of them.
You ultimate.
Yeah,
guy.
but I think if you ultimate and get their Drown Yard.
Or you get their Drown Yard and your Jace.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm just saying it's an avenue with which to get Jace, which is a critical thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even feel like letting even if Finkel were to resolve a.
How much time's left in the
I was going to flashback think twice. The Sphinx's Revelation wouldn't even be the worst.
Yeah, John's going to start chunking through his library at this point. He's got 3 copies of Sphinx's Revelation, no counterspells to protect his Jace with, and that Jace Memory Adept. I highly doubt that, based on the fact that he knows what his opponent's sideboard plan is, that he's going to just raw dog it out there.
So he's drawn an Azorius Charm that he can cycle, but looks like he's going to beat down in the meantime.
Yeah.
Knock Andrew down to 19. And he's going to activate it, and he hits a Memory Adept. Now that's half of the Memory Adepts in John Finkel's deck. We know he has the other one in his hand.
Yeah, now he's going to be extremely protective of that one. In his hand.
Yeah, no way to get that thing back into his hand or even into his library. So Andrew Cuneo only now has to really play around the other Jaces. It looks like it's going to be a Sphinx's Revelation for John. Does Cuneo even counter this, or does he just say, sure, you're helping me out, man?
I'm pretty sure he lets him draw.
Well, he's going to let him draw. It's like a free activation on his Nephalia Drown Yard.
Yeah, except for your opponent has beneficial spells now.
Yeah.
Still.
So basically this thing is going to come down to a big counter war.
It could. Like, the game's...
Like, Finkel is going to have to try to stick that Jace Memory Adept at some point,
yeah,
right?
that's definitely true. And if it does manage to get through, there's going to be a very interesting sequence of turns. Because it's going to be really hard for Cuneo to deal with the Jace once it hits the table, unless he casts one of his own. At which point there will be probably another counter war that ensues. Like, there's a lot of complexity that still could be in this game at this point.
Yeah, it seems like this really favors Andrew Cuneo at this point, as he can just keep Drown Yarding and has no pressure on himself to do anything. And it seems like the worst case for him is he gets into a counter fight with John on John's turn over a Jace.
Yeah.
Even if he loses it, he should have a Jace in his hand by then to just slam and kill Jace and resume the milling.
Yeah, he certainly is ahead right now. Ball is in his court.
19. Yeah, that's right. It looks like a 14, I guess. I wasn't sure, so I looked at the one above it.
Yeah, I was.
Sun Petal Grove for Cuneo. It looks like there's going to be a flashback for John Finkel here of a Think Twice. And he's got an Azorius Charm to cycle here as well.
Mm-hmm. We do see a Thragtusk in Cuneo's hand, so
also in Finkel's.
Wait, why is that?
I'm sorry.
John might.
There's an Alchemist Refuge
That's
for John
very,
Finkel.
very important here, because now he can bring the counter war to Cuneo's turn.
Yeah.
He can flash in a Thragtusk at the end of turn and switch his game plan, which is very, very important. In fact, that would not surprise me if that's what we saw happen here at the end of the next turn.
Well, he won't be able to leave Dissipate up in that case, so he might want to wait for one more draw step, right?
No, but I mean, if he end of turn flashes in a Thragtusk, it's a big difference. Like, flashing the Thragtusk gives him a threat, gives him an ability to actually just start attacking instead of worrying about his library. It doesn't matter if he doesn't care if Cuneo dissipates his Thragtusk, because at that point he can untap and land a Jace.
Okay. I mean, Cunio's going to have a bunch of lands available.
Yeah, that Resto Angel actually provides a pretty big kink in the works.
Yeah,
Oh,
and there's a Drown Yard, Negate, and Glacial Fortress milled into the graveyard of John Finkel there. So another one of the key cards in the matchup is now milled away.
Yeah, this is a problem. John's sitting at probably like 33, 34, something like that, cards left in his deck, if that many.
All right, Farseek for Cunio. Going to thin out his library a little bit and bolster his mana.
End your turn. Activate Refuge.
13.
Yes, right click.
All right, so here's the Thragtusk that you were predicting, Nate. Let's see what Andrew wants to do about it.
21. Correct.
And he lets it resolve.
All right, so he lets it resolve 21. He knows that he really just needs to worry about Jace, although, like you mentioned, that Thragtusk eventually will
5.
be down enough.
Yeah. He does have a handful of counterspells, too. Looks like Cunio's got, is it double negate, or negate, dissipate, and dispel all in his hand?
11.
Yeah, so negate, dissipate, Thragtusk, dispel, and Sphinx's Revelation are all in his hand right now, which is absurd. Yeah. Yeah, that Alchemist Refuge changes things significantly for John. Now he's the one who actually, basically you're changing the complexion of the game. You're changing the win condition.
Quick correction. You can't get a land apparently with Jace Architect of Thought. So,
Oh,
which
my mistake then,
wasn't really relevant. I mean, I was really more concerned because Jace Architect of Thought on his own. All right, here's a huge Sphinx's Revelation for Finkel. Looks like it's for 7.
Oh, man. Cunio lets him go. All right. So
And I think he saw basically nothing relevant there.
well, he saw negate. Negate's kind of important here,
And
and another
dispel.
and another Thragtusk. Like both of those cards are relevant. Like he has shifted his method of attack now. So
Okay.
Yeah.
and he's,
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I would imagine, fairly certain that he no longer has to worry about a mass removal spell from his opponent. So now he probably has all the cards that he wants in his hand.
Okay. I mean, I hope he does. He just Sphinx's Revelation for 7.
Yeah. All these things here, probably past the turn. Actually, he's got plenty of mana. Yeah, might as well just cast another Thragtusk.
Yep.
Or is he going to make a move for Jace because he wants his opponent to actually counter that and then go with the Thragtusk afterwards?
Yeah,
Okay,
we don't know
okay,
how
yeah.
many cards are in Finkel's library. I'm assuming he's not in
Yeah.
dire situation as far as...
Yeah, mid-20s probably. I mean, he's probably somewhere between 6 and 9 turns away from dying due to, or I guess it would be less than that. Yeah. Somewhere between 5 and 7 turns of dying.
That's fine.
33.
And he lets it resolve. Interesting. Oh, he has a Dimension Sphere in his hand. That's a very good reason to let it resolve.
Okay.
So now we know what the counter war is actually going to be over.
That's right, because that Restoration Angel is going to do a great job of blocking 3/3 beast tokens.
Yeah.
Of course, much less good job of blocking actual Thragtusks.
And yeah, Cunio can follow that up with a Thragtusk of his own, which is going to just be a haymaker.
All right, dispel your Revelation.
What card you have left in your hand?
He left enough mana to pay for it.
9, 10.
Oh, wait, my
No,
mistake.
no, it's
not
dispel.
dispel. Yep.
Alright.
I called it.
Yeah. He just says okay.
Yeah, he left himself enough mana to dispel, or not dispel, dissipate back should he need to.
All right, so Cunio is deciding what he wants to do for his turn. He's facing down a couple of Thragtusks and an Augur of Bolas. He's sitting at 10.
Here we go.
Detention Sphere, indeed. Now, Detention Sphere's on the stack right now. He doesn't have to name what he's going to name yet. We do know he's just going to take out those Thrag Tusks, however.
I can't imagine him naming anything else.
And John says, I'll play Negate. So this, like you mentioned before, is a good old-fashioned counter war here, most likely. So let's see what Cuneo, how he wants to respond.
There's definitely a clever amount of subtlety in how you arrange your lands as well. Like, look at the exact 3 lands that John's left available.
He's actually just going to let him negate the Intention Sphere here.
Interesting.
He has the Dissipate in hand. Decided not to use it. He wants to get that activation on Nephalia Drown Yard in for sure, but what else does he have?
Not sure.
All right, Detention Spheres for Finkel. It's not really going to do anything. Well, actually, I guess it could get the Angel out of the way. Yeah, so, no, yeah, totally. That's actually quite nice here. Cuneo, however, has kept counter magic up, so let's see if he can resolve this Dissipate.
All right, here comes the Detention Sphere.
All right, looks like it's going to be a negate to start things off for Cuneo.
Like Cuneo.
What does Finkel do?
Looks like Cuneo has a copy of Supreme Verdict in his hand.
Yeah, I keep seeing that too.
So he's probably looking to block, trade off his Angel here, and get value to make sure he can actually kill a 3/3 on the next turn.
All right, re-dissipate for Andrew Cuneo. He has to go all the way with it here, otherwise he's dead, so that makes sense.
This is block trade, and now he doesn't just wantonly lose his Angel and manages to kill one of the beasts that would come back afterwards too. So.
Yep, so he's going to go down to 4 here, which is going to allow Andrew to untap Wrath the board and not face lethal the next turn.
But I think John's probably going to take advantage right now of, does he just play the, I mean, do you care about the Jace Memory Adept at this point? Like
I'm assuming you
do.
do.
In cards?
I mean, the Jace would be super relevant here. It's not,
yeah.
I think the Jace can just outright race Andrew's Drown Yard here. And John immediately says, I'll mill you. It's going to be 10 cards.
Yeah.
I mean, Cuneo has, what, somewhere around 40 cards in his library left?
Yep.
Pretty sure he can race it. We don't know how many cards Finkel has exactly, but you were predicting six just turns out was last turn, so probably 5 now, which is actually fairly close.
Yeah.
All right, so Supreme Verdict is going to blow up the world here, but he's going to be left with a 3/3, and Cuneo falls up with a Thrag Tusk to bring himself back up to 9, facing down just the 3/3 beast from Finkel here.
Still, balls in John's court at this point.
Jace Memory Adept doing a lot of work here for Finkel.
Sounds based on the chat, or did I?
Yeah, looks like
Harry
Zach
Rittenberg
Hill
lose?
won
Yeah.
that one.
Okay. Zach Hill improves to, I believe, 4-0. I know he won his first 2.
That is
assuming he
correct.
won his 3rd.
Yep. That is correct.
All right, block from Cuneo.
I think it's me that's probably straight.
No, I just didn't. I like looked away for a second. I had no idea. Like
All right. John's going to.
So what does Finkel have?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
He's got a Supreme Verdict to take out the Beast token, and he even follows it up with another Thrag Tusk, and then activates his Jace Memory Adept to mill 10 more from Cuneo, and it looks really good for Finkel right now.
Next turn is lethal, yeah.
Finkel's going to take a minute to look at the cards that were milled away.
All right, so there's one Jace in his bin. I think he's got one in his hand. At least he had it. I thought he had one earlier. I could be very wrong about that, because I don't know why you wouldn't play it to actually prevent the card that's killing you from killing you. I guess he doesn't. Man. Okay, so it's 2 activations.
Yeah, it looks like he's sitting about 12 or 13 cards for Cuneo. So he does still have time. I couldn't quite get a count there on Finkel's, but I think it's in a similar position.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Good deal.
come out of retirement.
It's a shame Sphinx's Revelation doesn't target.
Yeah.
Although that completely changes this format.
Yeah, I
Right.
played Nature since the day I left the 36. I remember I think 13 or 14. I think this
Yeah, Cuneo needs to find himself a Jace.
He does. He does indeed. If he
Of
can
any
find
variety
himself
right
some
now.
type of Jace in any form, he can take out the opposing Jace, and he cannot lose. And he even has a reasonable win condition with an Nephalia Drown Yard.
Yep.
But all right, so think twice for Finkel resolves. Cuneo has one card in hand that's relevant. It's a Dispel. I think his other card is just a land.
All right. Yeah. Cuneo's left himself, I would imagine.
Oh, he's got 3 cards. The third one is the Sphinx's Revelation.
I'd imagine Cuneo's left
which
himself
is
with exactly.
not relevant here. What's that?
No, I think Cuneo's left himself with exactly enough cards in his library that after the Jace activation and his main draw, he either has no cards left in his library or 1 card left in his library.
Yeah, which it looks like it's not enough time for that Drown Yard to finish off, right?
No. And you have to leave yourself with 1 card left and hope that you get there, because then you can survive for the turn you need to. I mean, you don't even get to play the Jace and activate it to kill your opponent.
Right.
So has his and his other Drown Yard is in his graveyard now, so he doesn't even have the luxury of being able to play that second Drown Yard and maybe get there.
I'll Sphinx's Revelation for 6.
He says, I'm going to... So Finkel is going to Sphinx's Revelation for 6 cards here.
John himself.
I mean, like, we were talking about earlier how these Sphinx's Revelations are helping out Cuneo's game plan, but at the same time, Finkel's finding all of the answers and all of the threats that he needs to win thanks to those Sphinx's Revelations.
Yep. Your library is a resource. Use it well.
All right, so what is he going to name here? Just the Drown Yard?
Yes.
All right, he does, in fact, name Drown Yard. Milia for 10, and things are looking really
there
good
they
as we
are.
see 2 Jaces in a row off the top for Cuneo.
And
I'm assuming he still has the 1 Architect of Thought left in his deck.
Yeah, his other detention sphere hit too, so hit all of his answers are out. That's
And
just
that
it.
is a Dissipate, and I think that's going to do it. Cuneo's going to take a glance here to make sure that he's not missing something, but I think he's only got 2 cards left in his yard.
That's a hard one to type really fast.
All right, and it looks like John Finkel is going to improve.
I'm not sure that you got to resolve that. I should put it in spell when I put in a gate.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what you had in your hand, but
I mean, I might. I don't know if I played. I mean, I played it. With 1 untapped, you obviously can't do anything.
yeah, you might not have played it, but my hand would have been pretty good.
Yeah. I could have played. I would have played Thrag Tusk instead to try to beat you with down damage. But I suppose
Yeah.
to do is just
Yeah,
better to get that out.
Like, I left an opening for it.
So we hear Cuneo
The
say,
guilds of Ravnica continue plotting, so myopic in their quest for power that they're unaware of our machinations. Under my stewardship, House Demir will assume dominion over this city. Toward that end, the Simics' ability to evolve and adapt could prove an asset. They breed new predators without thought to the prey they might hunt, and the marginalized rule. The clan's explosive violence can provide the finest cover for our covert dealings. The Orzhov Syndicate skillfully restored the facade of piety, but are driven as ever by base pursuits of wealth and power. Throughout, my Demir agents hear all and see all, gathering secrets from the shadows, never attracting the attention of those righteous enforcers known as the Boros Legion. Its platoons will be kept busy with other, less subtle crimes. My path will be made clear. No one of this world can stop me.